All right, thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. Good afternoon. I wanted to quickly address the events from the weekend in Ann Arbor. I did write down a couple of thoughts, so I'd like to share them with you as best I can. First and foremost, Michigan State football is about integrity, discipline, unselfishness, toughness, and accountability. The incidents involving a small group of our players do not represent our culture. Second, I made a decision to suspend players based upon video evidence that was provided to me and our athletic director yesterday. The suspensions will allow the players to receive academic support and medical services, but they will not be able to attend any organized team activities, including meetings, practices, weight training, or games. Our entire team will be cooperating with law enforcement and the Big Ten Conference to further evaluate the events in Ann Arbor. These suspensions will remain in place until the investigations are completed. When we have a full report, I will address further actions if needed. We're not here to make any excuses for the behaviors Saturday. They are unacceptable. It's also very important to say we honor the traditions of the Big Ten Conference, including the Michigan State-Michigan rivalry game, and we have a responsibility to uphold the values of this great university. We are deeply sorry. We're deeply sorry to both universities, the conference, our fans, alumni, supporters, and of course, all of our student athletes, past and present. Out of respect for the integrity of the investigation, it would be irresponsible for me to comment further. We'll have more updates as we learn more. I'm happy to answer any questions about the game or the upcoming game at Illinois. So with that, I'll open it up.
This is about your culture, because you said there was a small number, you stressed there were a small number of people involved, but yet a larger number of kids did nothing to stop it. What does that say about your culture?
Yeah, well, the culture as we define it is how we live and behave every day, and that's what our culture is, and our culture, was not represented in that way.
Did it upset you that kids didn't try to stop it?
Pardon me?
Does it upset you that kids didn't try to stop it?
So, without going into any further details, because there's an ongoing investigation, I'm not going to be, irresponsible and comment further about everything.
Mel, I'm wondering on the incident, who did you hear from, and how quickly afterward did you hear about it? Mm-hmm. And I guess when you did, from a personal level, when you reviewed the video and everything, what was going through your mind in that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was one of the last of the Spartans to come off the field, and I was my responsibility was to try to get our players off the field safely. So all the players were ahead of me, and I was pulling up the rear. And you know, went into the locker room, addressed the team, went and did radio, and then before I got with you guys at the presser, I was made aware that there was an incident, but I didn't have any specifics. And I told you all that at that time, and so I was able to gather information on Sunday morning and throughout the day from our athletic director, the Big Ten Conference, and like I said, reviewed it and then came to these conclusions, and now there's an investigation, and we're gonna let that play out.
And from the personal level, just seeing and kind of feeling as a coach or the mentor, what goes through your head?
Yeah, obviously, we're sorry for what happened, just like I just mentioned, and we're moving forward best we can.
Well, a head coach can't control everything his players do 24/7. How much responsibility do you take for this?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and so what I've done in taking action that's part of my responsibility, and so again, I talk about accountability and things like that, and so that's what I am. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, I'm curious. I know the athletic directors have spoken all that. Have you spoken to anyone? Have you spoken to Jim Harbaugh or anything like that since this happened?
I have not.
Do you intend to, or
I haven't spoken to him yet.
what was your message to the team then? Once I assume this morning before practice, what was the message overall to your team? Was it just about the game, or did you kind of bring everything into it?
We started with this, and then we moved on. We moved on to Illinois.
Coach Tucker, a different video was circulating over the weekend. It looked like a fan reaching out and touching you swinging, knocking an arm away. Can you provide more context to that? Was that somebody reaching inappropriately, somebody you may have known? Just curious what that was.
Yeah, it was alarming, but obviously, there's an investigation, and so I'm not going to be irresponsible and comment further on that.
By an investigation, you mean the police investigation, or?
There's an investigation. There are investigations going on at this time, about things that took place.
Mel, you said that you were not going to comment further because of criminal investigation. Jim Harbaugh just said he'd be surprised if this did not result in criminal charges. Do you have a reaction to that reaction?
Yeah, well, like I said, out of respect for the integrity of the investigation, it would be irresponsible for me to comment further.
Many people sort of wondering how it all sort of started. Did you get any video that gave a clearer, indication of how everything just transpired?
Yeah, so again, that's a great question, and I understand that you have a job to do, and those are the questions that need to be asked. But it's really irresponsible for me to, with the investigation ongoing, for me to comment further about anything at this point.
Let me ask you this: as you move forward, how do you recover from this and the image that this represents? How do you move forward?
Yeah, we're laser focused on Illinois, and that was a big part of our message this morning. And it's always what's most important is what we do next. And so we're focused on Illinois, and we're going to prepare every day the best we can.
Just off of your initial reaction to what happened, do you have an issue with the tunnel, the way it is set up, or with the fact that 2 Michigan players were up there while your team was up there?
Yeah, again, I mean, that's not something for me to speak to. And so, I mean, obviously, you know, there's an ongoing investigation, and so, you know, I'm not going to comment any further on that.
And then every Monday that, you know, we've been in here talking, you have talked about facing adversity and how well your team has done in getting past that. How difficult is it to now be in your position where you've faced that adversity, but now you have more off-the-field distractions to just add to that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We actually talked about that this morning. And so, you know, we're choosing, you know, to move forward and work every day to get better in everything that we're doing. And so, and there's actually no other choice to be made in how we proceed, and so that's how we're going about our business.
Coach, appreciating what you just said, you can't comment in specific, but dovetailing off of her question, do you think this needs to be revisited, not just with Ann Arbor's tunnel, but any event at Spartan Stadium in regard to teams leaving the field? Does this change a dynamic in regard to one team should leave, the other should be held back, versus players maybe mingling and congratulating, hopefully, each other? I'm just curious where you sit, whether that should be revisited by not just Michigan State, but perhaps other schools.
Again, that's really not for me to speak to at this time. And so, you know, we'll continue to do what we can do here and control what we can control here.
Mel, do you have any sense of what the timeline is on this investigation, and how does that affect the way you proceed, the possibility that there may be more, I guess, suspensions or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, I do not, and we get more information, we can give you some updates. But you know, we're moving forward based upon the information we have right now.